It was a cold morning in Washington, D.C. The sun shone through the windows, but the atmosphere was thick with tension. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's plane had just landed after a long 10-hour flight. He stepped out of the plane wearing his signature military-style outfit. He looked worn but determined. His country was at war, and he needed something from Trump. Trump, on the other hand, also had his own objectives. Both leaders had come with demands, but the stakes were high. Zelensky arrived at the White House at exactly 10:30 a.m., the cameras flashing. Journalists stood outside whispering, speculating on what would happen. Inside, Donald Trump waited, sitting back with a confident smirk. When Zelensky entered, Trump stood up, walked toward him, and shook his hand firmly. "Mr. President, welcome back. Long flight, huh?" Trump said. Zelensky nodded. "Yes, a long flight, but I'm here because this is important." The cameras rolled. The world was watching. Trump leaned forward, resting on the desk. He was in control, or at least he thought he was. "So, tell me, Vladimir, how are things in Ukraine?" Zelensky, his face stern, replied, "As you know, we are still at war. We need more support." At this, Trump smiled. It wasn't the friendly kind. He looked at Zelensky carefully. "You know, Vladimir, a lot of people say this war could have been avoided. Maybe if you'd negotiated differently." Zelensky's expression shifted. His eyes grew darker. "We did negotiate. Putin doesn't keep his word." The room fell silent. The tension was palpable. Trump tapped his fingers on the desk, chuckling. "Well, I like leaders who know how to make a deal. I believe every war has a deal somewhere." Zelensky leaned forward, voice serious. "Every war has a victim. My people are dying." Trump stopped smiling. For the first time, his face hardened. The tone shifted. As the meeting continued, Trump and his team expressed frustration more openly. Vice President J.D. Vance spoke up, visibly annoyed. "Mr. President, it's disrespectful to litigate this in front of media. You should be thanking the president for trying to end this conflict," Vance added. Zelensky didn't back down. "During war, everyone has problems, but you have an ocean, and you don't feel it. But you will feel it in the future. God bless you, but you will not have war." Trump shot back, his voice rising. "You don't know that. Don't tell us what we'll feel." The conversation turned personal. Trump criticized Zelensky's choice of clothing. Zelensky wore military-style clothes, symbolic of his commitment to the war effort. Brian Glenn, a commentator, remarked, "Don't you think it's disrespectful to meet the U.S. president without a suit?" Zelensky stood his ground. "I'll wear a suit when the war is over. My attire reflects my people's struggle." But the criticism didn't stop. It was about culture, expectations, and the weight of the situation. Trump responded coldly, "You don't have the cards right now with us. You start having cards." Zelensky interrupted firmly. "I'm not playing cards. I'm the president in a war." The back and forth became heated. "You're gambling with millions of lives," Trump said sharply. "You're gambling with World War III. You're disrespecting this country that's backed you." Vance added, "Have you ever offered thanks?" Zelensky didn't flinch. "You're wrong." The tension was unbearable. Zelensky was frustrated. He had traveled far for this moment. Trump and his team weren't making things easy, but Zelensky wasn't backing down. Trump, now serious, leaned back in his chair. "We've given you a lot of support, more than anyone, and yet you come asking for more. Where does it end?" Zelensky met his gaze. "Mr. President, this is not about money. This is about survival. Russia is attacking us. If we stop fighting, we lose our country. Trump smirked again. He tapped his fingers on the table. And if you keep fighting, what happens? More war, more destruction. I don't like endless wars. I want peace. Zelensky's face hardened. Then help us. Give us the support we need to win. Trump's eyes narrowed. Win? You think you can win against Putin? The room went silent. Everyone knew about Trump's relationship with Putin. Many believed Trump admired him, maybe even feared him. Trump broke the silence. Putin is a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. Maybe you should talk to him. Zelensky couldn't believe his ears. Talk to him? We tried. He doesn't listen. Trump leaned forward. If I were president, this war would already be over. You know that. Zelensky shook his head. He had heard this before. Trump always claimed he could end the war. This meeting, it seemed, was about more than just Ukraine. It was about Trump's political future. Zelensky, however, was tired of politics. He needed real help. He had made his case. The meeting ended with no resolution. Zelensky walked out of the White House, a heavy weight on his shoulders. Journalists rushed toward him. How did the meeting go? One asked. Zelensky paused and said, I came here for help. I hope America still stands with Ukraine. And with that, he walked away. The war was still ongoing, the politics still in motion. But one thing was clear. Trump saw himself as the deal-maker, while Zelensky was the fighter. And Putin? He was watching, waiting, ready to make his next move. This story is far from over.